Hello friend. So this video is going to be about when you are experiencing something that is causing you upset, what you can do to help you with that, because if it feels like this is part of the persisting behavior or practice, when things are changing and you're giving yourself what you want, there's a gap. Often there's a gap before where you are at moves and merges into what you have been giving yourself persistently, so that you are experiencing from that space or state of being. So when someone or something outside of yourself keeps showing up as a disruptive or as resistance, you are going to have feelings about it. I know I do. And they don't always feel good. And in the moment, when a thing comes up, sometimes it blindsides you, and it doesn't. I don't always feel like I have the space to give myself to respond. I'll react. And I used to, feel really bad about that, because I want to respond. Reacting feels like a lack or loss of control, and then that feels like someone or something has control or power over me, because then I'm behaving or responding in a way that I don't want to. It is an unwanted experience that I'm having. So I'm making this video while this is all very fresh for me, because I'm sharing with you what I do to help myself when I find myself having this kind of experience. So one of the things that really helps, especially if I feel really charged or activated in my reaction, is to have space from the person or the situation. Just get some space, because if without the space, it's a lot easier to stay in the unwanted states and say or do things that then just add to more unwanted, right? So getting space, that's incredibly helpful. I needed to get some space. And as soon as I do that, my head can start to clear. And I started saying things that are true, that I know are true. Like I am, right? I am statements. Because when we're talking about giving ourselves what we want, we're talking about changing the state of where you might be currently feeling an unwanted, plethora of unwanted things, to to wanted. One of the things that I can immediately do when I have gotten to a place where the storm can let up a little bit, and when I say storm, I mean my emotions, my emotional storm that I may be feeling, then I can start moving into giving myself truth. And that always helps me. It always helps me focus, and I, can begin to experience clarity, because the more true statements I give to myself, the more true statements come to me easily, because they're all coming from within me, just like all the unwanted states. But when I'm in an unwanted state, sometimes it's harder to take responsibility for that state coming from me. It's a lot easier to look outside of myself and say, this is the reason why this is happening, or this person is doing this or that, or not doing this or that. And those are just distractions from what I really want, and that is to give myself what's wanted by me. So when I want to be expressing from a state that feels better, I start saying statements to myself that feel better. I don't let the negative narrative of whatever just transpired, whatever those thoughts are about, they don't matter. They're not important. They are there to help me understand that those are kind of, they're coming from me, and I'm the only one that can do anything about it. So I'm the only one that can give myself what I want. And true statements get me going in that direction. And then I'll persist in giving myself true statements until I am feeling better. Because that will happen. And then next, I be vigilant basically I don't want to go back into giving myself a bunch of reasons to be unhappy or not feel good. I want to give myself reasons to feel good and to be in a state that feels like what I want for myself. That's how you change the self, because the self naturally wants to operate from your highest good, what's good for you. But if we're constantly distracting ourselves with unwanted things, the self it can only do whatever it has to work with. And I don't find joy in amplifying unwanted things in my life, but sometimes I see that those things are persisting in my outer world, and then I have to I don't have to blame myself or get down on myself or look to the outside of me for the reasons why. None of that matters. What matters is what I then reconcile with myself. That I give myself what I'm wanting, because that's the only way to persist. It's going to, at a point, level out to where I am consistently experiencing what is wanted by me. That means that I've given myself, changed my inner being in the way that I'm not just constantly bringing a bunch of unwanted garbage to my inner world, because I'm going to get what I give to myself. And sometimes that really irks me because I think, why is this so hard? Why is this happening? Why does this keep happening? Why is this not getting resolved? Why isn't this getting better? This is what persisting means. If you don't persist, then it's only going to continue on the trajectory of unwanted things. And that's no fun. Why do that? When you knuckle down and persist in giving yourself what's wanted, that's when the magic happens. That's when everything can shift, because that state of fulfillment of everything that you want, that already exists within you. It exists within me. If I am constantly distracting myself with unwanted garbage, and I could even just call it unwanted compost, because it has its use, it has its place. It's not completely useless. If it was completely of no value, it wouldn't exist. It's like contraction and expansion. You need to have these dynamics going on in this reality, in this physical experience, and I get that. But it's like resistance and allowing. You can be in a state of resistance and allowing at the same time, but what it does is you're still in a restrictive flow. Okay, you're still restricting the flow of allowing. You don't want to. You want to have resistance. You want that in your life to a certain extent, but you want to know how to utilize it in an appropriate way. Just like when you're driving a vehicle, you want to have brakes. You don't want to ride the gas and the brakes at the same time, because that's actually not helpful unless you are trying to slow down. But if you're just driving around like regular, but you're always got your foot on the brakes and one on the gas, that doesn't make sense. And it's going to mess up the mechanics of your car eventually, and it's certainly going to mess up the brakes on your car. And you don't want to drive a car with no brakes. It's important to have brakes. You need to have parameters and boundaries, and you need to be able to direct your own life and your experience. If you were just flying around in a vehicle and you had no brakes, only gas, you would be completely out of control, right? But if you were just only hitting the brakes, you wouldn't go anywhere. And if you were hitting the gas and the brakes at the same time, you are definitely restricting the flow, and you're going to eventually tear up your car. So I use these examples because they're useful. We do this in our own life when something unwanted comes up, if we do look outside of ourselves for if we don't take responsibility for ourselves and we are blaming everything outside of ourselves for the reason it's happening, we're missing the opportunity to give ourselves what we want. And that is actually what changes self. It's the step of recognizing that it's all coming from you, and you are the only one who can give yourself what you want, and you're the only one who can persist in that, even when everything is saying, well, no, that's not how reality works, or no, this is not your doing, it's so-and-so's fault, or it's this terrible situation, and you have no, responsibility in that. But I really feel like I am an active participant in this life experience, and it is so incredibly tempting and easy to give control away and give my power away and say that something is happening to me and that I have no power to do anything about it. And that is a feeling of lack, and that makes me feel powerless and out of control. It's a way to just feel like you're floating without direction or without any aim in life. And that can be very, that's a very unsettling feeling and kind of terrifying to think that this world around us can just completely swallow you up. And I have found a strength and a determination within myself through these teachings that I never fully had before. I was definitely well on my way with the law of attraction. And I, at times, for sure, struggle with something that comes up, and I don't necessarily always respond, but I'll react. But I have given myself space to recognize and observe my part in everything. If in the moment I'm mad and I'm having a lot of anger and I'm experiencing that, like I never ever used to be comfortable feeling anger. Like, to me, anger was wrong. It did not make me feel good. And I would have physical reactions to it. But it would stick to me. And I wouldn't be able to shake these feelings, and those anger easily turns into hurt and all kinds of not great experiences. And then those would dictate my states, and I would give my power away over and over and over again, to the point where I'd just be like, I'd be feeling defeated. I'd be feeling like what I thought, what I felt didn't matter. People were going to do whatever they wanted, and they didn't care. They didn't care about what I felt or what I thought or what was important to me, and they just walk all over what I wanted. And I knew that I wasn't being unreasonable in what I wanted, and I knew that I was coming from a good place of love and care, and people were just being really careless with me, and people that I love. And that really hurts a lot. But then I started caring about myself more than I was caring about what other people were doing or not doing. I started caring about myself more than abandoning my truth to someone else and their whatever it was, because it doesn't matter. They're all narratives coming from me, but they're all narratives coming out, being projected back to me from the outer world. And so getting right, getting centered, getting balanced within yourself, that is the first and only thing that anybody needs to do to function in this world in a way that feels right, that feels good, that feels truthful. And that does take persistence. That really is probably the best word that can be used, is that you're going to feel at times like giving up. And when you do that, you're giving yourself away. You're giving your power away. You're abandoning yourself. But if you persist, even if you feel angry or hurt or disappointed or whatever you're feeling, if you persist back to the truth of I am, back to the truth, write lists of the truth, so that when you're in a moment where you're really tempted to lose your shit or to be, pointing fingers and giving blame and all of that, when you are able to, when that storm has passed enough, just start reading that list to yourself, saying those things and feeling the truth of it, because that's in truth where the truest part of you exists, with I am. Right? I am loved. I am valued. I am appreciated. And I am appreciates me. I am loves me. I am is in love with me. And my life is a reflection of that love and that truth. And you just keep bringing yourself back to that truth over and over and over. And it doesn't matter how many times you have to do it. You just have to do it until that is the state you're living from, the state that you're experiencing your life from. And that is going to be, a thing that it just, when it happens, you're going to merge with the truth of that, and it's going to be worth it. Everything. Everything that you have ever struggled with or felt was hard or painful, all the suffering, all the tears, all of it, you're going to come back to the truth of yourself. And that's freedom, that's liberation, and that's worth every ounce of your focus and your determination to give that to yourself. I don't care if you have to do it 100 times a day. I'm going to do that. It doesn't matter how many times it takes. It shouldn't take that long. But sometimes it does feel like it takes forever. But I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to let any narratives that are not true have power over me. When I can change the narrative myself, it doesn't matter what anyone says or does. It literally has no thing to do with me. Nothing to do with my ability to accept the narrative that I want and then to give that to myself, and I persist in that narrative. I'm telling you, eventually those things start coming through. Those truths start becoming the truer, bigger part of my experience. And all these little disturbances, they don't have the bigger stage in my experience or in my awareness or in my focus. So I wanted to share this because if even one person, one friend is going through something that feels hard, I just wanted to give you encouragement that you've got this, that you are loved and adored, and that everything is for you, and that you can give that to yourself too. And you just keep doing it and doing it until pretty soon you feel it just emanating from you in every single aspect of your life. And it starts coming back to you, projecting back to you all the beauty, all the love, all the truth, all the joy. It's all for you. And it's all from you. And you have to give that to you, to yourself. And just persist in that, friend. That's the practice. If you do that and nothing else, you're going to change the experience that you're having in this life. It's never too late. And it's all up to you. Until we talk again, friend. Much love.